Okay, for this segment, we will cover connecting the computer to the wireless and setting up the wireless security for the first time. To begin with, we're going to insert the disk that came with the router. We have the computer connected to the router through an Ethernet cord. That establishes the connection so that we can set up the security for the wireless. And we're going to start with install router, and that will bring up a end user license agreement, which we'll have to agree to continue. Now it's going to come up, choose the language. I'm just going to click next through here, and it's going to examine the computer's connection as far as its network adapter and make sure that the computer is ready for the connection. Now the next step should be to set up the administrative password on the router. Now this is to set up the password for the configuration. This is the password that you would need to enter to change any of the settings inside the router once you're connected. So once we enter something here, it would be important to keep that in case we need to later change router settings or change the security key to connect to the router in the future. Right now we're just going to give it a generic password, and we'll click next through until it comes to the point where it's asking for the wireless name. Now, the wireless network name, or SSID, is what computers trying to connect to the wireless would see as the name of the network. So if you were trying to connect to this currently, it would show up as D-Link. You can change that to be a unique name so that you can recognize your wireless connection when you go to connect to the wireless. And next, it will ask for the security type. Depending on the router, will either offer WEP, WPA, might possibly offer WPA2. We would recommend WPA or WPA2 as being more secure. Now, at this point, it's going to ask for a security key. Some routers will term this as a passphrase. This is the password required to connect to the wireless. The first password we set up was the router's configuration password. That is what you would use to change the password of any of the router settings. This password is the password required to connect to the router. So any computer attempting to connect to this router would need to enter the passphrase set here. And it generates a secure passphrase or security key. You can either accept this and write it down so that if you want to connect another device later, you would have it, or you can change this to be any combination of letters or numbers, as long as it's 8 to 63 characters. So you can personalize that. It's just important to write that down and remember what that is for when you go to connect to any other devices.
Sorry, can you give them an example?
To keep things simple, we're going to set this to a very generic password so that when I go to connect to the wireless, this is what I will have to type to establish a connection. And again, we'll just click next through. It'll ask to confirm, click next. Okay, and it will go through and finish the configuration. Now, while this is setting up, the reason we establish the password or security key to connect to the router is this will help protect your home network from outside access. This will prevent people from connecting to your router and using your connection, which can slow down your connection. Depending on what they do while they're connected, that can also prevent you from having any vulnerabilities on your network from their activity or from any infections that they might have as far as viruses or malware. Okay, once it completes the configuration, click Next and Finish. And the router is now set up. And we can close out of the configuration utility. Now to connect the computer to the wireless, we will need to go into the control panel. And we'll need to go into the network and internet connections. Depending on the computer you're using, it might be termed network connections or network and sharing center. Now, what we're going to want to do is go into the actual network connections. And here we can right-click on the wireless connection and view available. And here we find the D-Link that we just set up. Select it and then select connect, and it will ask for the network key. We set this as password. And it will ask you to confirm the key, so you will have to type that twice. And then click connect. And it now shows connected. At this point, you can disconnect the computer from the Ethernet, and you still maintain the wireless connection. All right, if you have any questions or concerns about this process, you can contact us at 419-724-9800, and we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.